I noticed something with how some podcasts and radio shows talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars this offseason. They'll give a rundown of what they've done this spring, maybe get into their 1-5 collapse at the end of the season, and then a co-host will ask, half jokingly, but also half serious, "Are we sure Trevor Lawrence is good?" My first reaction was always, of course he is. He's the prince who was promised, after all. But then I thought back to his game against my Browns this season where he threw 3 picks and just couldn't get out of his own way, and I wondered, wait, is he? So I went and watched one of those cut-ups on YouTube of all of his interceptions this past season. You know, the ones where they have a pick counter and someone in the comments will evaluate how many were actually his fault. And I thought I saw something. Can this guy not handle the blitz? When Lawrence has time, he gets the ball out quick with anticipation, has a gorgeous throwing motion, and can fit the ball into tight spaces for his receivers, like here against the Colts in Week 6. It's a very similar play to the one I highlighted in my Aiden O'Connell video, where the defense appears to be in a cover 2 type look. The cornerback is pressed up against Evan Ingram, but rather than play man coverage, he'll be looking to pass off Ingram to the second level for the safety patrolling that half of the field. There's a very short window where the honey hole, the space between the corner and safety on the sideline, opens up. Just check out when Lawrence is throwing this. The corner is still in front of Ingram, so Lawrence puts some touch on the ball to get it over him, and with his sense of anticipation, he gets it there before the safety can effect the catch, and credit to Ingram for a great snag here. But then he seemed to transform when the blitz came or the pressure got to him. Check out this play later in the same game, where he whips out an awkward throw earlier than he wants to, and it drops in between his 2 receivers and right into the hands of the defender. Or this one against Pittsburgh in Week 8, near the goal line. He can't find anyone at first, the pass rush starts to get to him, and he flings up a ball into a crowd of Steelers in the end zone. And so it was hard to see these interceptions and not think a little harder about that initial question. Are we sure Trevor Lawrence is good? Being a consensus number 1 overall pick carries with it a set of lofty expectations. When we compare him to the other top 5 picks at quarterback over the past 20 years, his numbers are solid, but don't jump off the page. He's 3rd in total passing yards, but 11th in yards per game, had a solid completion percentage at 63.8%, which puts him at 6th, and although it's a noisy stat, he ranked just 15th out of 22 in quarterback rate. Of course, there's a lot that goes into these numbers for him over his first 3 seasons, and it's really easy to forgive his rookie year where his head coach in Urban Meyer seemed more concerned with himself and his needs than building up the Jaguars and Lawrence. He led the league in interceptions his rookie year with 17, and while he showed much improvement in his sophomore season, including a huge comeback win against the Los Angeles Chargers in the wildcard game, he seemed to stagnate in year 3, especially after getting injured later in the year. His interceptions were back up, now at 14, and it seemed he was quietly, at least to me, becoming a turnover-prone quarterback. Since 2021, when he entered the league, he is 2nd in total turnovers among quarterbacks with 72 combined interceptions and fumbles, just below Josh Allen's 75. And when we go back to how he looked against the blitz from that interception cut-up, it seemed like there were statistically 2 Trevor Lawrences. There's the Prince, the version of Trevor Lawrence who was a top 10 quarterback when not blitzed. According to PFF, he graded out as the 9th best passer in the league last year in these situations. He threw for a ton of yards and had one of the best completion percentages out of everyone at 69.2%. But then there's the other version, the jester who's blitzed. In these situations, his grade falls down to 27th and his completion rate drops to 55.6%, landing him at 40th out of 42 qualifying players. And so I thought, there's the video. I'll go back into his film and see how his throwing motion changes against the blitz versus when he's kept clean. But as I watched more of him, and not just a 3-minute video of his worst moments, I couldn't bring myself to carry this narrative. See, there just kept on being instances where a blitz would come, and he'd hang in the pocket and make a confident throw, like on this out route against the Colts. Or on this one against the Browns. Cleveland only sends 4 here, but the pressure starts to collapse everything around him quickly, and yet he still keeps his head and throws confidently. I thought I'd see a lot more examples of him looking a bit awkward when those pass rushers come, that he'd throw up an inaccurate ball to the defense as he falls away, like later in that same game. But something just seemed off. Just last year, he was so much more competent under duress, landing at 18th in passing grade and having a much better completion rate at 67.8%. And this is in spite of him facing blitzes on about 3% more of his dropbacks in 22. And don't get me wrong, I do think there's something about a blitz that occasionally causes him to short circuit. He'll throw earlier than he wants to, or just try to whip a ball to a receiver without truly seeing the defense, like this one in the middle of the field versus Houston in week 3. But I don't think this is a rule for Lawrence. It's not as simple as just heat him up and he'll look like a different guy. Rather, I think it had more to do with him losing trust in his offensive line throughout the year, which was exacerbated by his injury, and then occasionally letting that mistrust seep into his decision making. To me, one of the biggest stories of the Jags offense last year was the game of musical chairs they were forced to play with their offensive line. I think PFF's team blocking grades give a good indication of the slide Jacksonville saw between 2022 and 2023. 2 years ago, they graded out as the 10th best pass blocking team in the league. Last year, they dropped 21st. A big part of that was losing the consistency and experience they had before. Both Jawan Taylor at right tackle and Cam Robinson at left tackle were dependable pieces for the Jaguars, with Taylor having started every game and Robinson playing in 14. But Jacksonville lost Taylor to the Chiefs in free agency last summer, while Robinson missed the first 4 games of last season due to suspension, and then missed weeks 14 through 17 with a knee injury. They were forced to fill the right side with rookie Anton Harrison, who was okay but not as consistent or reliable as Taylor had been. On the left side, they had swing tackle and third-year man Walker Little take reps, where he was less effective than Robinson. Meanwhile, the left guard spot became a clear issue for the team, as they had to rotate out a bunch of different names including Ben Bartch, Ezra Cleveland, and Tyler Shatley. You can see this when you rewatch some of their snaps, whether it was miscommunication between the line against sim pressure allowing free rushers in, like here against Indianapolis. With the linebacker over top of the left guard pre-snap, the Jags will slide their protection to the left. But when he drops out and the pressure storms in, it results on a 3-on-2 on the left side and a 2-on-4 on the right, and Lawrence never has a chance. Or in situations where it seemed the left guard position was pushed around and the defensive tackle had a lot of freedom to get to where he wanted to go, like this one against the Steelers. Analyst Bucky Brooks had a great piece on Jaguars.com summarizing the offensive line's performance last year, which helped a ton to inform this section of the video. He summed it up with this: from the leaky protection in front of quarterback Trevor Lawrence to the offense's repeated failures in short yardage/goal line situations, the front line did not get the job done when it counted. And finally, on this point, the line also hindered the effectiveness of Jacksonville's running game. In 2022, they ranked 9th in rushing yards per attempt at 4.7, but in 2023, they fell to 30th with just 3.6 per attempt. And a lacking running game only ever makes things more difficult for the quarterback. The Jags are hoping their 4th-round pick and tackle Javon Foster and their signing of former Buffalo Bills center Mitch Morse will help plug the holes they saw last season. Next year will obviously be huge for Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. Can they see sustained success? There is so much good in Lawrence's game. I kept finding myself being impressed the more I watched him, and I wanted to share this particular play against the Colts. He's both patient and quick at the same time here. He drops back and looks to Ingram in the end zone, but with 3 defenders surrounding him, he thinks better of it. But watch how the coverage on the opposite side turns towards where he's been looking and opens up space over there. Lawrence very calmly surveys the field and then has no hesitation to rip this ball to Bretton Strange coming out of a delayed release. This throw is wide open because of how calm Lawrence remains in the pocket, how he uses his eyes, and how confident he is in getting the ball out quickly when he sees an opening. I just thought this was so cool because I feel a lesser quarterback, especially on a 3rd down, may be too locked into finding someone already in the end zone and miss the easy pass created by the time he has to throw here. Lawrence has shown he can be a top 10 quarterback when he's protected, And while those O-line updates should help, it'll be on him to rise above leaky protections and stay calm if they don't. If he can mitigate his moments of short-circuiting, he'll be one of the top passers in the league. It'll be then that the prince has truly arrived in Jacksonville. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please remember to give it a like if you did enjoy it, and consider subscribing to the channel so you can catch the next one. Thanks, bye.